thanks, grace of heaven, virtues of masters, grand predecessors, and transmitters and lecturers for giving me this opportunity to learn to speak on tonight's topic, 5 cultivation refinements of life. Okay, so this topic is from a scripture on the Dharma class at Tian'en Temple on December 12, 2009. Lunar day is 26 days of 10th month. Okay, so Holy Teacher as disciples of Holy Teacher in this white period, it's very important to understand what is the purpose of cultivation. What are we cultivating? Do we want to return home? Are we fully prepared to return home? These questions are the most fundamental issues in our path of cultivations. Are we truly cultivating properly? Knowing that we have reincarnated for over 60,000 years, do we really know what we are cultivating and where are we heading? Tao is the point, is pointing the path to return to our original home. All right, so today's discussions on the 5 cultivation refinements of life is not about abstract theories, but about something very real and practical. Every spiritual cultivator should mindfully engage with these essential life lessons. So cultivation is meant to awaken our awareness of how to cultivate, but more importantly, to inspire us to take actions, to practice from within, to begin a transformation from the inside out, and to take roots at the very foundation. So Holy Teachers ask questions. Disciples, why have we come to attend the Dharma class or regular class? In this case, is it to diligently enrich ourselves, to bring more peace to our mind and body, or is it to appease the transmitters? Just showing up, having an excuse, appeasing ourselves, or also appeasing the Saint Buddhas? Disciples, isn't cultivation of Tao the most important matter concerning our true nature and destiny? So there's, as a cultivation, the Tao, these are the questions that we should ask ourselves daily. What is the real reason that we are cultivating? Are we cultivating to attain a certain position? Are we just going to the temple to, to hang out with friends? Or are we really want to be enlightened? Okay, another question is whether it's coming to Dharma class or participating in various classes at the temple. Disciples, we have heard so many principles and teachings. What was it for? To more incisively analyze the thoughts of others, or to diligently reflect and find our own shortcomings? It is often said, cultivating Tao is cultivating the hearts. That is the well-known phrase that everyone can recite, but how many truly experience it wholeheartedly? So everybody can say, oh, cultivation is to cultivate the Tao, but are we really sincere? That is the question that we should ask ourselves every day. Okay, so in cultivation, is in Chinese called xiu xing. Xiu is to ratify, and xing is to practice what we learn. Okay, learning the principles and scriptures of Saint Buddhas are not meant to use to criticize or correct others, but to ratify ourselves, to get rid of our temperaments and bad habits. Okay, be sincere within and practice it outwardly. True cultivation begins from within, with sincere integrity and genuine intention. 成于中 in Chinese, okay, and must be manifest through one's external conduct, 行于外 in Chinese. Inner truth should naturally express itself through outer behavior. It is a harmony of inner virtue and outer conduct. The sacred teachings are meant for self-reflection and self-cultivation, not as a tool to judge and score or fix others. True understanding of teaching should lead to compassion, humility, and inner transformation, not arrogance or self-righteousness. Therefore, in every day, we should always practice, be sincere within, and practice it outward. Okay, these are the 5 essential keys. Okay, that is neither abstract metaphysical talks or empty theories on paper, but it's truly 5 essential keys to self-awareness, inner reflections, and elevating one's spiritual wisdom and their divine destiny. Okay, the 5 greatest obstacles of cultivation. 应付自己, which means managing or dealing with oneself, just going through the motions without genuine devotions, handling matters carelessly without sincere commitments. And then the second one is 观说不念, to talk without actions. Okay, so it's all talks and no actions. Words and deeds don't match. 言行不一，表里不合, which means inconsistency in words and deeds, which on the surface doesn't match to what's on the surface doesn't match to what's inside. The third one is called 自以为是, full of oneself or believing oneself is highly capable. Self-righteousness, thinking oneself is always right, arrogant, and unable to see one's shortcoming. The fourth one is called 渐变, changing gradually. Okay, gradual change or deviations, unconsciously deviate from the original intention and cultivation. The fifth one is 白来人间, coming to this world in vain, wasting our time and achieving nothing when we leave this world. Okay, let's go into the detail of the first one, managing ourselves, 应付自己. The greatest fear in cultivating Tao is not cultivating slowly, but just going through the motion of oneself. What is the real reason that we are here at the temple? If we are merely doing it to complete a task, to give the transmitter a lame excuse, or even just to make ourselves conscious feel a little better, then we haven't truly begun Tao cultivation at all. So are we here at the temple or Dharma class? It's because someone made us to come? Are we forced to be at the temple? Instead of having a sincere and genuine intention to cultivate, what is our true reason? Are we wasting our time in cultivation? This is Holy Teacher's guidance. It is not about returning home to tell our Heavenly Mother, I should be given credit for the effort, if not for the merits. If, in the end, our cultivation becomes a laughing matter, a foolish joke, we will have wasted the compassion of saints and Buddhas, betrayed the grace of our predecessors, and discard the heartfelt efforts and painstaking nurturing of the sage before us. If disciples treat all this as insignificant, how can we truly return to the original and report one's mission? So some of us might think we have done a lot for the temple and cultivate sincerely, and we have brought many people to receive Tao, even propagate Tao's out of state or outside of the countries and set up many temples, and they think they have many merits. And yet, if they're not sincere, they're cultivating in vain. Therefore, we should, given So many of them think that, oh, I have done so much, they should give them credits for the efforts, if not merits. So that would be sad. Holy Teacher's merciful guidance. Disciples, cultivating is essential to one's life and true nature. Its purpose is to enable us to return to our roots and reclaim our inner inherent Buddha nature. Let us reflect on years gone by. Have we truly transformed our temperaments? Have we truly broadened our heart and mind? Or do we remain trapped by calculation, clinging to forms, exhibiting prejudice, arrogance, and quick to anger? If there has been no true internal change, then all our efforts in cultivation has been nothing more than pretense, a hollow and fruitless endeavor. So cultivation is about getting rid of our temperaments and bad habits, which accumulated from many lifetimes. Okay. Because we still have these mindsets, therefore we cannot transcend. That's why we're still in this cycle of reincarnation. Should spiritual cultivation lead to a greater fatigue, ought the burden of our practice intensify over time? This poses a significant dilemma. The root cause, disciples, is lacking of genuine commitments, a profound absence of sincerity in our approach. Our attention has strayed from the self-examination and personal reflections. Instead, we are habitually engaged in dualistic thinking, constantly weighing others against ourselves. So slowly, as we cultivate in the Tao community, some of us or most of us might straight away from the truth and start become arrogant and not self-examining, self reflects. Instead, we always, comparing us to others, and which this will stray us further from the truth. This manifests a attachment to perceived merits, the, the practice of favorable treatment and indulgence in pride, rage, and envy. We remain perpetually entangled in this self-other dynamics, generating in continuous frictions that erupt into irritation and rage. How then can such a method of cultivation possibly yield joy, spiritually freedom, inner serenity? How could it foster increasing happiness? Disciples, our conduct reveals a pervasive inconsistency. Our words do not align with our actions, and our outward demeanor belies our internal condition. Okay, so our mindsets depends our outward demeanor. So if we have a sincere mindset, it will manifest in our conduct. So we should always self-reflect, look inward. Okay. Holy Teacher's questions. With absolutely no personal progress, disciples, upon what foundation do we stand to claim a share in our teacher's burden, worries, and toil? What gives us the rights to envision leading countless individuals from this boundless seas of affliction? And by what authority do we expect to extend this glory to our myriad ancestors and descendants? This is basically saying that if we don't elevate our cultivation, how can we share the burden of our holy teachers, help our holy teacher ferry all the sentient beings in this bitter seas? And if we do not elevate our cultivation, our ancestors and descendants will not benefit from us. Uh, the second greatest danger in Tao cultivation is not walking the talk or being insincere. When the mind becomes empty and unreal, karma entangles. Okay, so this basically is saying that superficial practice, true cultivation must come from honest effort and inner sincerity, not empty words or pretense. When the intents become false or deceptive, demon enters. When our hearts, minds become lack of sincerity, focus on the illusories or lack of genuine substance, it creates the condition for negative karmas to accumulate and bind them. This means that if our inner state is one of the superficial pretense or a lack of true purpose, we will inevitably become entangled in the negative consequence of our action and mindset. A hollow or insincere approach to life leads to spiritual bondage and suffering. Holy Teacher's merciful guidance. We often say cultivate Tao is to cultivate our heart, but once the mind becomes insincere, karma will entangle. Once the intention is false, demon will enter. What is most fear in cultivation is insincere minds, false intentions, and talk without practice. Listening to lectures is only the first steps. The key is whether we sincerely put what we learn into practice in our daily life. When the influence of inner demons, anger allows destructive force to take hold within us. When we consumed by rage, people are prone to action that inflicts emotion and even physical harms on others, maybe on their self. Therefore, it's crucial that we do not let our emotions take control. The greatest danger, again, in Tao cultivation is our okay. So whether we cultivating our heart and mind. So what do we need to cultivate? Divine heart and minds or human heart and minds? The true heart or false heart. The true heart is perfect, complete. Therefore, we do not need to cultivate. It's the human heart that we need to cultivate. True heart is the single-hearted without duality, bias, heart of equanimity, acting in harmony with natural order and moral principles of the universe, derived from our Buddha nature, and do everything to benefit all sentient beings except themselves. Okay. Whereas human heart derived from our temperaments and bad habits, making decisions based on experience and the society, benefiting only for themselves and looking down at others. Okay, so the divine heart and mind is also has Bodhi mind, compassionate hearts, whereas human hearts is envious hearts, hatred hearts. They're saying 人心善变, which means the human heart is prone to change and unpredictable. One can easily shift their opinions and beliefs. Okay. Human heart is like 心猿意马, 8 hearts and a horse mind, which means reckless mind and wandering thoughts. 8 minds is constantly jumping from one thoughts, ideas, or emotions to another, unable to settle, restless and agitated minds, feeling of unease or being unable to sit still, often due to the internal turmoil and lack of concentration. And then horse minds, picture a wild horse galloping freely without a rider or reins, running whatever it please. Similar to the human thoughts or intention that are unbridled and difficult to control, leading one astray, wandering thoughts. Okay. Holy Teacher's most merciful guidance, disciples, time is running short. If we don't decisively commit and change our way, how much longer can we afford to linger under teachers' protections? We must properly embrace our divine duties, firmly grasp the golden threads, diligently cultivate ourselves, and fulfill our sacred vows. Otherwise, it will truly be too late. Okay. So none of us know what will come tomorrow, how long we will live. Therefore, there's so many calamities. We don't know if we're not gonna live forever. Therefore, we should treasure now, cultivate now instead of tomorrow, as tomorrow is always a days away. Okay. And after we receive Tao, Saint Buddhas Holy Teacher can only protect us for 3 years. And then after that, we have to accumulate enough merit to pay off our debt. And none of us know how much we owe in our past life. And we don't know how much merit we have to pay off our debt. If we don't have enough merits, then we cannot pay off the debts, and then we got to encounter sufferings. We don't know when our karma debts will come knocking. So in the future, what we will rely on to offset the faults with merits, disciples, we have received so much grace from Tao community. Now that we have matured, should we be a little more considerate? So we have been in the Tao community for so many years, and they have nurtured us, and we have received so many benefits from them, grace from the Tao community. So therefore, we should give back, and which start cultivating sincerity. That's the first step, and helping others come to the enlightenment. Having received so much grace, we must utilize our ability and strength to let countless people bask in the boundless heavenly grace. Oh, we are willing. Since we are willing, then we must endure sufferings to resolve sufferings. And when we are wrong, don't complain about heaven or blame others. When we receive that one of the vow that we have made during the Tao ceremony is 虚心假意, which means insincere heart or false intentions, and not devoted to cultivation. That is the vow that we made in the beginning when we receive Tao, and we should always remind us not to be insincere or have false intention in Tao cultivation. And as we know that we should be, willing to bring more people to receive Tao, guide them to the path of cultivation. The consequence of not walking the talk. When the mind is insincere, harm entangles and take hold, making liberation impossible. When the intention of false, demanded obstacles invades, leading one to lost their way. When karma comes knocking, no amount of merits can offset the debts of unrepented deeds. Time waits no one. Time is on the essence. Turn back while we still have time. Okay, Saint Buddhas cannot pay off the debts that we owe in our past life and in this life. When the debt collectors come knocking at the door, we can only pay off with our accumulated merits, but how much merits that we have accumulated, that is the questions. The main points here is that 愿不能难把相还，心不增灵山难到. Okay, If we cannot fulfill our vows, we won't be able to return homes, heaven. If our heart is not sincere, it's difficult to reach spiritual mountain, the enlightenment. Okay. 懂事不是搞人事，体悟才是真讲道。To be understanding is not about engaging in human affairs or manipulation, rather, genuine realization and deep comprehension of the truth is the proper way of giving a class. So when we doing the lectures, we should have a deeper realization, tap into our Buddha nature, and understand the truth of our Buddha nature. Have some kind of understanding of our Buddha nature in order to give a better comprehensive class, teach others. 真诚是道心的开始，单单是修办的根基，没有落实在行动上的修行就是空转。Translation: Sincerity is begins of the true heart's mind. To bear the responsibility is the foundation of cultivation and propagation. Cultivation that is not put into action is just spinning in vain. In Tao cultivation community, we can easily get involved in human affairs and dispute of rights, what's right and wrong. If we allow such negativity, the Tao energy or spirits of Tao within us will fade away. Losing harmony. Harmony means losing the spiritual force of our cultivation. Okay, Holy Teacher's questions. If there is no genuine understanding or realization, no matter how much we lecture, we won't make any sense. Teacher asks, what does it mean to be considerate? It is to understand rights and wrongs, then cause interpersonal conflicts that affects the harmony of the Tao community, disrupt the etiquettes of the Buddha's rules, making many people lose faith in Tao and savor their connections to the golden thread. Is this correct? Of course not. Yeah. Okay. Thankfully, disciples, we still know how to distinguish right from wrong. Think back to how we were once muddled and confused, how today we have taken on the divine responsibilities. In this process, we have learned many cultivation essential for dealing with people and matters, mastering the nuance of how to approach and retreat. We have also heard many principles and established correct value in life. But at this point, disciples, do we feel I have matured, my wings have hardened, and then started acting self-important or self-welded? Do we see that transmitter as incompetent, the lecturers as slick and superficial, the temple host as lacking responsibility, and the administrative staff as not diligent enough? Do we look down on the ordinary Tao members, thinking that they know nothing and then proceed to cultivate, change, and manage things on our own with supposedly correct way, thinking that they're, as we cultivate and then we straight away and thinking, stop looking down at all the transmitters, lecturers, staff members, and thinking their own way is the best way to handle a task, to do things. Okay. The third of the worst fear in Tao cultivation is being full of oneself or believing oneself is highly capable. The true cultivations requires a humble heart, a awareness of one's limitation and willingness to keep learning. When someone believes that they have already made it, they stop progressing and may even stray further from the right path without realizing it. So when just like a cup of water, when the cup is full, we cannot pull in anymore. So when somebody is full of themselves, we cannot pull in any more knowledge or teaching. Same concept. Okay, humility and self-reflect, constantly nurturing our virtues. When we start to look down on others, mock others, and enjoy their misfortune or mistakes, in reality, we are really regressing. We should always remind ourselves to be humble and self-reflect when we encounter matters. Without humility, we tend to focus on personal gains and recognitions. Only through humility can one nourish virtue, constantly nourish, nurturing our virtue so we don't become arrogant and stray away. Arrogant and looking down on others are pitfall that leads to spiritual regression. Okay, we should always ask ourselves: Are we cultivating um, Bodhisattva's path, or are we cultivating Asura's path, or are we cultivating to be a angry, angry, angry ghost? It's all within our heart and mind. The danger of being conceit or arrogance. 恃才傲物. Translation is to be arrogant due to one's talent and ability. Having a talent but lacking virtue and morality easily attracts the dynamic obstacles and invite trouble. The fundamentally lacking in virtue, this severely limits one's ability to achieve significant accomplishment in life. Arrogance is like a barrier, prevent us from seeing the truth. 根本缺的 fundamentally lacking in virtue. If one is lacking the fundamental virtue, it's difficult to achieve great things. Okay. It is nice to have talents, but virtue is even more crucial for true success in cultivation. But be virtuous is not measured by how much one has done for Tao community, but rather is sincere, unbiased, and justice. Holy teachers questions: the greatest pitfall in cultivation is thinking that we are great and highly capable. For those who are slow in response or grasp informations or mellow, do we just stand by, sneer, laughing at their mistakes and watching them embarrass themselves without an ounce of empathy? That's another question to ask ourselves. Do we have empathy, compassion, or do we have, uh, you know, straight away hard? Confucius also said, even if one possesses the talents and beauty of a Du of Zhou, should they be arrogant and stingy? Then everything else is not worth observing. This means if a person has a great talent as the Duke of Zhou, but they commit the two faults of being arrogant due to their talents and being narrow-minded and selfish, then even if they have other abilities and talents, they have not worth a second look. Why? Because at the fundamental level, they already lack virtue. Nurturing our virtue is our second life. It's lifelong lessons that we must learn. Why a cultivator has a difficult nurturing their virtue is because they're talented. Thus easily become arrogant. And as one's arrogant, they have lost virtue. It goes in a circle. We should always be grateful of others. Only when one has Tao roots in the hearts, virtue will naturally manifest in our conduct. Okay, so the main points of the here is having talents without virtue is the root cause of inviting demons and obstacles. True cultivation is about not being arrogant, angry, resentful, nor blaming. The true skill in cultivation does not lie in eloquent speech, but in practical application of wisdom. Holy Teacher's question again. Why can a single word make us sad, frustrated, or furious? Why can single incidents make us lose faith or become suspicious or feel resentment, hatred, and anger? Why can a single thought make us confuse right and wrong and become stubbornly unyielding? So all that question we need to ask ourselves. We need to see that all form are just illusion. Therefore, if we see it this way, it doesn't remain constant. If we see it this way, then we can let go of all the frustrations, hatred, and resentments. Holy Teacher's questions. This is because as disciples cultivate Tao, we always make a lot of excuses for ourselves, unable to make a strong determination to find our own mistakes. Why do we need to listen to a class? Listening to a class is to find our own problem, not others. This is a true reflection. It is easy to detail self-reflect. Is it easy to detail self-reflect? When we admit our mistakes, our minds will become clearer. Okay. Therefore, it's very important to self-reflect and take responsibility for our own emotions and mistakes in the path of cultivation. Negative emotion lead to distorted judgments. Okay. Listening to class is to uncover one's own mistakes, issues, okay, own faults. It's scary that when a person has extreme dis- destructive nature of prejudice, prejudice doesn't just add a bias layer. It actively reject or overrides genuine understanding. When someone views the world through the lens of prejudice, they are no longer open to facts, evidence, and experience that contradict their preconceived notions. Their minds effectively filter out or deny anything that doesn't fit their bias. It creates intellectual blindness. A prejudiced mind is often unwilling or unable to see the truth about individual or situation that fall outside their prejudice categories. This means that they can miss opportunities, misjudge character, and make irrational decisions. A mind clouded by prejudice cannot truly learn or grow. There is no room for broaden the understanding or nurture empathy. Therefore, it is important to self-reflect. It is the initial honest look into the mirror of one's soul. It is the essential first step that enable us to understand our current states of mind, identify our faults, and um, consciously begin the transformative journey of cultivation. Without it, the path remains obscure and progress elusive. Okay, the main points here is that we should self-reflect in starting point is the starting point of effort, stop deceiving ourselves, not others. Okay. If we blame others for all disputes, are we really cultivating Tao or just talks? The true cultivation is not how well we speak or how quickly we debate, but whether we can transform our hearts, thoughts, and karmas. Okay. We should learn to transform our consciousness into wisdom, transform the deluded mind into enlightenment mind. The fourth is gradually, the greatest fear of cultivation is changing gradually. Gradually change refers to the subtle, often unnoticed shift away from one's original intention, value, or disciplines. It is the quiet and progressive deviation that happen little by little. So slowly that the person may not even realize that they are drifting off the path of cultivation. Okay. That is a very scary thing, that we are unnoticeably drifting away, gradually changing our original intention. This kind of change is dangerous because it doesn't happen suddenly or dramatically. Instead, it erodes a person's sincerity, disciplines, or moral clarity over time. What once started as pure and committed can gradually become lax, worldly, or self-serving without conscious awareness. Therefore, we should stay vigilant and self-reflected, because the biggest threat isn't always external, obviously, it's internal. Silent compromise that accumulate over time. Maintain vigilant. We will make mistakes, be weak, and get lost. That is the human nature. But what is terrifying is getting accustomed to errors and sinking deeper into the delusions. Therefore, we should remain vigilant and not get lost or change, or be aware of our mind and thoughts. We should always ask ourselves, are we changing for the better or for the worse? Are we gradually become selfish, or are we always thinking about others, benefiting others, benefiting our ancestors, our descendants, our parents, our friends, our colleagues, our even all the sentient beings? The danger of gradual change, okay, unconscious change, without awareness of one's heart and mind, one can deviate from the original intention of cultivation, repenting, yet we offending with no progress, such as making the same mistake over and over again after repenting. Okay, manifestations of gradual change. Hoping others obey oneself, will become unhappy if others don't obey. Suppressing others, fearing that others will outshine oneself, showing off one's ability, self-satisfaction. Making excuse when doing wrong, dodging responsibilities, okay? When we have to handle a task, they try to dodge it. Bias overly attached to duality. Always think about right and wrongs, instead of calm our heart and mind. Okay, Holy Teacher's guidance, unconsciously changing without awareness. Repent, yet we offended. Is this useful? High status, strong abilities, longer experience in Tao community, deeper understanding of scriptures, but often these are the most prone to change, deteriorate. I hope others listen to me. If they don't, I become unhappy. When he comes, diminish my opportunities to perform. Therefore, I look for his faults to criticize him, fear that others will outshine me. I suppress him. I mislead disciples, bearing talents. Otherwise, one like to show off one's abilities, speaking very happily oneself, but others find it annoying to listen. What is this? Arrogance? Okay. The main points here is that single thoughts astray, difficult to recover over countless eons. Okay. If we straight away, if our thoughts straight away, if we get into the wrong notions, okay, thinking, then it might take us eons to find our way back to the proper path, to the path of Tao. Achieving oneself is not about self-promotions, but inner nurturing, okay? Nurturing our virtue, okay? It's not about how good we are, how well we do things, but it's whether we have virtues. Okay. Cultivating and propagating Tao is not about enduring for a moment, but about upholding a pure vow for a lifetime. So, okay. We should remember our vows and try to carry out our vows for the lifetime, not just day or two. Holy teachers, merciful guidance, disciples are the bridge of ZhiShan, reporting to the seniors and guide the juniors. Even more so, an example of respecting teacher and valuing Tao, the elders have entrusted some tasks to the disciples. And the disciples should strive wholeheartedly to complete them. If, however, personal bias, arrogance, and achievements are mixed within, this slight deviations in thoughts can lead one to fall into a deep abyss. This slight deviation in thoughts, who knows how many sentient beings' divine lives it might mislead. Therefore, disciples, in our cultivation, we should value ourselves, not flaunt ourselves. We should have self-confidence, not arrogance. We should be humble and refined, not pretentious. We should diligently spur ourselves on, not give up ourselves easily. The main points here is that one cannot consider minor faults as harmless. Just a dripping water can penetrate stones and accumulate dirt. Accumulating dirt can form a mountain. What most fear is that we are still boasting about how hard we work, yet unwilling to admit even a little bit of arrogance. If one does not self-reflect for a day, inner demons will arise. If one thought is correct, the divine destiny will be covered in the dust. Cultivation is a daily self-renewal. The correct mindset of cultivation is value ourselves, not praise oneself. Self-confident, not conceit or arrogant, humble and nurture, not affected or pretentious, diligent, spurs oneself, not giving up oneself easily. Okay, time's almost up. The five greatest cultivation, the greatest fear of cultivation is coming to this world in vain. The greatest tragedy is to have live a human life without truly making use of it, to go through the experience of being born in this world without gaining any spiritual growth, insights, or moral developments. Okay, we just understand that without this body, we cannot receive Tao. So we should make the best use of this body. Without the body, if we go to the lower realm, we won't it will be harder for us to encounter Buddha's teaching. So we should treasure this lifetime as human. Okay, to live a human is precious and rare. Only human beings can receive Tao. As human beings, we have unique opportunities for learning, self-refinement, and transcending worldly attachments. If one spends this life entirely on distractions, desires, or ego-driven pursuits without seeking deeper meaning or awakening, then it is as if this life was wasted or lived in vain. The purpose of life is not just to exist, but to elevate one's soul, fulfill one's spiritual potentials, and return to one's true nature. Okay. The Holy Teacher's guidance, how we view ourselves is what kind of person we will become. Although it is said one cannot have arrogance in cultivation, one also cannot lack of integrity, and even more so cannot lack of aspiration. There is saying if one has no ability in cultivation, one's heart will flustered. But disciples, we are also luckiest good. When we are suffering, heavens will secretly arrange things, secretly awaken us, and even constantly give us care. However, disciples sometimes don't care much. If cultivation reach this point and disciples have very indifferent attitudes, then all previous efforts will be in vain. Okay, all previous achievements will be lost like drawing water with a bamboo basket, a futile effort. Will we then complain about compassion of Saint Buddhas? Is this correct? If we don't cultivate, if we don't, take the initiative of cultivation, then we shouldn't blame Saint Buddhas of not helping us. Don't get entangled with the rights and wrongs. And the main point here is that don't get entangled with right and wrongs disputes, forgetting the important matters. Fearing others is fearing oneself, fulfilling our vows and returning to our home in heavens. Without unity and integrity, it's easy to miss out on one's divine destiny. Okay. Let's see, should jump to the end here. Oh, we will post this on our group chat. Let me get to the points here. The point is that in Tao cultivation, there is troubling about it is the restless mind that create the disturbance. It is not the cultivation make us suffer, but rather that we haven't seen through our own greed and attachments. Time waits for no one, and vows cannot waste either. Don't keep circling in place, fruitlessly wasting life. If we want to cultivate a clear conscience without shame and regret in this lifetime. Okay, so 5 key points of cultivation is ZhiShan, cultivate the minds. What to cultivate? A simple, pure mind, untouched by defilements, returning to the innocence of a child. Give wholehearted to do one's utmost to exert one's whole heart and mind to fulfill, dedicate oneself to exert one's utmost effort with sincere and wholeheartedness. Teach Dharma to emphasize the fundamental and speak from personal realization, not merely repeating doctrines. Okay. Tao propagation to include both personal practice and efforts to help others awake, to correct our thoughts, actions, and speech. Guiding others to guide others and is to guide ourselves to overcome our faults and letting virtue transform us. Okay, in conclusion, disciples, do not let this life be in vain. Remember, what we cultivate in is divine destiny, not fame and position. What we desire is to return home and not worldly excitements. What we cultivate is a path of inner purity, a path that direct reach the absolute heaven, heaven of truth. As long as we are willing to turn back, Saint Buddhas are willing to lead us the way. Okay, don't fall asleep anymore for our own sake, and also for the countless sentient beings waiting for us to guide them. So we should not aimlessly wander in the cycle of reincarnation. We should aim to return home, as this world is not our home. Our home belongs to heaven. Okay. We should also need to remember to guide those that we have affinity with, such as our families, friends, colleagues, bring them to receive Tao and guide them in the path of cultivation. Okay, that will conclude my class for tonight. If I have said anything wrong, I ask for saints and Buddhas for forgiveness and transmitters lectures for your corrections. Thank you.